Many thanks for staying with us. Let's, of course, start off by telling you that Mudashiru Obasa, the former Speaker of the House of the Lagos State Assembly, was impeached on Monday due to allegations of gross misconduct and abuse of office. The impeachment didn't come as a surprise, considering the controversies surrounding him in recent years. 90% of the lawmakers voted to impeach him, and his deputy, Mojisola Meranda, took over as the new Speaker. Obasa's impeachment is believed to be linked to his rumored gubernatorial ambition in 2027, which allegedly rattled party leaders and power brokers. The former speaker had been accused of building a grassroots network, the Obasa Support Group, across Lagos, 20 local government areas and 37 local council development areas. Now, this move was seen as a challenge to the status quo and reportedly infuriated Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and other party leaders. Obasa's tenure was also marred by allegations of corruption, including claims of financial irregularities and self-enrichment. Now, despite his denial of these allegations, his impeachment has reignited calls for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, that's the EFCC, to reopen investigations. Now, joining me on the program this evening to discuss this is Olufemi Lawson. Olufemi Lawson is the Executive Director for the Center for Public Accountability. He joins virtually from Osun State. Thank you so much for your time on the program, Femi.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, Femi, let me start by, of course, opening with this. We understand that you actually did write a petition against the impeached speaker to the EFCC. Can you take us through that? What is the content of your petition against Mudashiru Obasa to the EFCC?
Thank you. The content of our petition to the EFCC, which was done more than 2 years ago, is more part of what culminated into the removal of Mr. Obasa's, the Speaker of the Lagos State Assembly. Yesterday, for anyone who has followed keenly the activities of the Obasa-led House of Assembly, particularly between 2019 and 2023, and 2023 and now, you want to agree that Mr. Obasa has virtually turned the Lagos State Assembly into a private estate, runs the assembly in a manner that does not befit a legislative arm of a state like Lagos. Mr. Obasa are pensioned for refusing to answer questions when asked by citizens. At some point, he resorted into abuses when asked about the finances of the House, which is the funds belonging to the people of Lagos State. He runs the assembly like his private business, and on a number of times we have raised concern as citizens about the manner in which Mr. Obasa has handedly been running the affairs of the House. And the whole essence of the Obasa's approach to leadership, is just, to grandstand and cover up corruption. But you see a leader who is practically turning himself to a sole administrator, who is full of, ambitions and selfish, self-aggrandizement, who citizens cannot even query about how their money is spent. You know that such characters are always known to cover up their misdeeds.
Are there specific financial misappropriations that you made reference to in that petition to the EFCC?
Yes, we sought to know how the budget of the House between 1999 and 2003, have been spent, because he was Speaker between 2015 and 2019, and again 2019 to 2023. This being the third time we'll be elected as Speaker before his removal yesterday. And unlike every other state assembly, the Assembly in Lagos has a self-financing law where it approves and spends money by itself without, the authorization or necessary approval of the executive, as the case is, in some other parts of the country. So Lagos State Assembly makes a budget for itself, spend the money by itself, give account to itself, which is a system that does not give room for accountability. So we have asked that we need to see the books of the assembly. How were these monies that have been allocated, by you to yourself spent. Only recently, we have report of how over 40 billion were allocated for members to buy vehicles, which were never bought by this same character under his leadership. So these are so many other issues that we have raised over time and that have been part of our petitions to the EFCC.
So you said that part of it has to do with 40 billion to procure vehicles, which never did happen. And you also raised the issue that the Lagos State Assembly is a peculiar one, given the fact that it sets up its budget, executes its budget, and at the same time gives accountability to itself without recourse to the executive. But looking at all of this that you've mentioned, and the fact that the peculiarity of the situation on ground, where some people feel that this is even more political than having to do with accountability in terms of finances or even high-handedness by leadership. What will be your response to that?
Well, for people who may have their different opinion about what culminated into the removal of Mr. Obasa as the Speaker of the Assembly yesterday, but for anyone who have followed how this man operated as Speaker of the Assembly between 2015 and 2019 and 2023, and now, you will know that we should be more interested in the allegations of corruption against Mr. Obasa than even his political ambition or the political interpretation that may be given to this removal. A lot of finances belonging to the ordinary people of Lagos State have gone unchecked, expended by the leadership of Mr. Mudashiru Obasa as the Speaker of the House of Assembly in Lagos. So I think we should be more concerned about this, because this has to do more with our future as Lagosians, with the future of the ordinary people of Lagos, even now who becomes governor or not. Because if you look at the number of billions that the Assembly has allocated to itself and claimed to have spent, including contracts awarded to companies that have been linked to this same removed Speaker, you come to realize that we should be more concerned. And so for us, we are more concerned about the accountability, the integrity of the Assembly, even than whatever political ambition Mr. Obasa had, which may have contributed to his eventual removal as the Speaker of the House of Assembly yesterday.
Now, talking about finances and financial misappropriation, do you also feel that this would culminate should thorough investigation, be done, where maybe we might uncover that maybe it's not just the culprit in this, maybe some members of the House who are involved? Are we looking at that scenario too?
Yeah, as far as we are concerned, and as citizens, we are not going to narrow our focus on Obasa alone, because the Assembly is run under a management headed by the Speaker. I know there are other principal officers who are involved in how the money funds belonging to the Assembly, which ultimately is owned by the people of Lagos, are expended. So in the course of investigation, I know other people may have reasons to come and answer questions about their role. And it's also important that I mention this, that while the EFCC seems to be dragging in responding to our petitions, we have also recently sent copies of our petition to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, which we believe has a track record of prosecuting matters like this. So we wouldn't mind whoever is involved, irrespective of whatever position they occupy within the Assembly. Remember, at the same time that Mr. Obasa was removed yesterday, the clerk of the Assembly was also sent packing as the chief accountant officer of the House. So it's going to go beyond Obasa, definitely.
Let's look at accountability also generally within the state. That's Lagos State. We've seen some members of the opposition saying that to a large extent, Lagos State doesn't operate an open book when it comes to how finances, run generally within the state. Do you also share that?
I think one of the things that have enhanced the culture that people have complained about transparency in Lagos has also been the characteristics of the House of Assembly, particularly under, Obasa between 2015 and now. In this state, we have had in the past where state budgets are published, where projects are published. But when you have an arm of government, which is primarily responsible for checkmating, overseeing the executive. Normally the House of Assembly should be the watchdog for the state, monitoring the activities of the executive, monitoring budgeting, monitoring expenditure. But now becoming a decision itself that has locked up transparency, that does not believe in accountability, then it becomes difficult, for even the executive to be as transparent as we want to imagine. But for us as citizens, we have a duty. We have done a lot of times FOI requests to ministries in Lagos, and we have gotten responses. We have a duty as media, as civil society, as citizens, to demand for transparency. No government is bigger than the people, irrespective of how powerful such government may look. I think as Lagosians, we have not been doing enough to also challenge the states in ensuring that budgeting system, the implementation system, as transparent as we desire.
Okay, I'm going to go back to your petition. Have you gotten an update yet as regards what EFCC is doing on what you wrote? Did you get a response? We are there at the moment.
We were very much aware that EFCC have been taking steps. In actual fact, it is on record that he has been invited once in respect of, because, and the truth is, I told you our petition alone that is standing against Obasa before EFCC and ICPC, more than 20 organizations and individuals in Lagos have written petition against the same, person on various allegations. In fact, there are people within the assembly who have also, written petitions against the manner in which the assembly has been operating under Obasa. So I'm very sure the EFCC may have to consolidate some of these petitions to ensure that they, streamline it in conducting an investigation, and if necessary, prosecute Mr. Obasa for the alleged corruptions.
Let's explore the relationship between the impeached Speaker Obasa and the current governor of Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu, where for many political observers, they will say it's pretty much frosty. I would like you to speak on that. From your own perspective, how would you consider their relationship?
The governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, when you want to look at his relationship with Mr. Obasa, I think it's one governor that deserves special commendation. The character of Mr. Obasa as Speaker, particularly in the last 4 years in Lagos, is such that it's enough to destabilize any state. If you have seen any state where there has been hostility between the executive and the legislature in the past, none, I insist none, in some of these states would have survived the period that the administration of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu allowed that leadership of Obasa to survive as the Speaker of the Assembly, because this is a man that did not just disregard the governor and the executive arm of Lagos State, even for whatever reason, in hierarchy of leadership. The governor is the number one in government in Lagos State. Mr. Obasa has on several occasions openly disrespected not Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu as the governor of Lagos State, but the office of the governor of Lagos State. In actual fact, Mr. Obasa used and desecrated the exalted position and that seat of the Speaker to promote personal ambition, to embarrass the state leadership, up to the last ugly incident witnessed during the presentation of the 2025 appropriation bill, where the governor virtually became an onlooker at that session, because Mr. Obasa dedicated the session to personal praises and promoting his inordinate ambition and some other things like that. There is no state, if not for the very gentleman disposition of Mr. Sanwo-Olu and the kind of politics he has played, that would have tolerated a leadership of Obasa like we have witnessed, in this state for in the last 4 years at least. So I don't want to say that has had a greater impact than the fact that even among his party men, he has lost, favor. You saw the new Speaker visiting the GAC. That's the highest advisory body within the party, APC in Lagos, that a group of elder statesmen and formal officials of the party. These are also people who are not in the support of, the legislative rascality of Mr. Obasa. But ordinarily, if there were such move to remove a speaker or any official of state, GAC is always available to reconcile, to mediate in such situation. But you saw that they stood and watched, allowed the assembly to take its decision because the man, we say, is having political issues with the governor. What about the GAC, which is even in the political party structure of Lagos State? It's more powerful than the governor.
All right. At this point, we'll go on a quick break. Once we return, we'll definitely pick up, this conversation. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This, of course, is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. And we are discussing the impeached Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mr. Mudashiru Obasa, who, of course, was impeached yesterday, and the new Speaker sworn in. I have Olufemi Lawson. He, of course, has been dissecting this issue. He still, of course, is with me. Thank you for staying with me, Mr. Femi. Let's talk about the new Speaker, Ms. Meranda, who, of course, was sworn in yesterday. She was his deputy, and she's been elevated now to the position of Speaker. What are your expectations, even though she served under the impeached Speaker?
Under the impeached Speaker, but a lot of us knew how Mr. Obasa virtually, turned himself to the sole administrator of the Lagos State Assembly, even while attempting to even, become the sole administrator of the state. But for me, in terms of my expectation, a lot is expected from the new Speaker in the area of redeeming the image of the Assembly, because the truth, you listen to the members of the Assembly after the removal of Obasa yesterday, you see them emphasizing on the need to restore the integrity of the House. So even members know that the House has integrity challenge under Obasa. And it is also important that the state, Lagos, is producing a female speaker for the first time in its history. So for Mrs. Meranda, as a woman, she has a lot to do in proving Lagosians. It's proving to Lagosians that women also have capacity to occupy this position. Women have capacity to steer the leadership of the House, and most importantly, the question of accountability and integrity of the House becomes important. This must be a priority of the new leadership. They must be able to restore the confidence in the mind of the citizens and ensure that every shady deals that the administration of Obasa has been associated with becomes a chain of the past. So beyond the fact that they have a primary responsibility of legislating for the progress of the state, conducting oversight on the executive, as the case may be, they have a most important duty of restoring the integrity of the House, which has become nothing to write home about under the leadership of Mr. Mudashiru Obasa.
Femi, before, of course, I let you go, what do you suggest, or what do you think becomes of the political journey of the ousted Speaker now, Mudashiru Obasa, in Lagos State?
But this is going to be the real time to test his political capacity. He boasted in the presence of an incumbent governor that is more qualified than every other person who has been governor of Lagos State, including the current president, Sanwo-Olu Tinubu, Mr. Babajide Fashola became a governor as a senior advocate of Nigeria. Mr. Akim Mbode, who was a career civil servant that rose to the position of an accountant. Mr. Babajide Fashola, a renowned banker. Mr. Obasa, whose only antecedent is contesting election from Agege to come and be whatever, says is more qualified than all of those people. So now we want to see Mr. Obasa's capacity and political qualification than all these people. As an ordinary member of the House of Assembly, why, if he's still going to put his heart into the ring for the race for 2027. So if he's truly more qualified than all these people as the governor of Lagos State, now is the time we will know, not using his position as a speaker to grandstand and to, behave as if he has what every other negotiator in capacity.
I mean, you sound like it's an opportunity for him to prove himself. And I mean, Do you see that, do you see him really pulling as much weight, personally?
Well, I don't know. That would depend on his party. APC has the tradition of using their candidate. I think if he asks what it takes, he should be able to convince the GAC, the party leadership, and members of the party, when the time comes, truly that he's more competent than every other person who has been governor in Lagos State. Then they cannot choose him as their candidate.
I mean, for some people who, of course, are part of his constituents in Agege, they would say that he, did quite a couple of projects too, particularly as it affects young persons or the young generation there. In terms of his achievement, would you say that his years of being speaker to some extent did rub off on his constituency?
Well, he may have used his position to attract development to his constituency that every other member have also done. Even members of the National Assembly have done so. So there's something about what I've done that he did from his private pockets. These are, projects that are mainly funded by the state, in some cases implemented by the executive. So it is not strange, and it is not something extraordinary. What is most important for you as a legislator is how many bills have you sponsored? How has it impacted on the life of your people? It's beyond building, drainage and, buying houses all over the streets of Agege. No, you must be able to tell the people how, as a legislator, you have made laws that will even outlive you as a legislator to the advantage of the people. If Obasa has this record, I don't know many of it, other than, the fact that, it has impact on streets of Agege.
Some Nigerians, who of course are following this trend, say that what they're seeing play out now is what exactly happened to Ambode back then when he was governor of Lagos State and was running for a second term, and that Mudashiru played a pivotal role then in ensuring that that never happened. And maybe he's been fed a taste of his own medicine now. Do you think that we're experiencing deja vu politically here of some sort?
Sincerely speaking, I know since yesterday people have raised this point, severally. But for me, possibly because for over 4 years, myself and some other person have painstakingly interrogated the leadership style of Obasa as the Speaker of the Lagos State Assembly. I see this beyond politics. I see this beyond who becomes governor or not. I have seen this from the prism of how a man has arbitrarily really used his position as the Speaker of the House of Assembly to enrich himself, to undermine the integrity of the House, the executive, and to abuse even the sensibility of the citizens. This was a man who openly told us when we challenged him on accountability a couple of years ago that Sanwo-Olu, the Yoruba balance for money is meant to be spent. Money is meant to be spent. Does that mean there should be no accountability? These are the characteristics of this man. That is enough for any decent society to get him out of the way. So it is beyond the political calculations of 20. If there are political, undertone to this, that be it is within them and their political party. But as a citizen, I see beyond that, and I want to insist that for 4 years, I have painstakingly, alongside others, demanded for what happened yesterday. We have demanded that Obasa be removed in the past. We have demanded that Obasa resign in the past. So it is for us. It's beyond. I don't think I have anyone or that I'm related to that approach to that is interested in governorship of 2027 as at now. So for me, it is beyond the political calculations of 2027.
All right, thank you so much for your time on the program. Mr. Olufemi Lawson is the Executive Director for the Center for Public Accountability, and of course he joins us virtually from Osun State. Once again, thank you for your time, sir.